Hi and welcome. I'm Ronnie Ryan. I'm an intuitive coach and I do energy clearing. And I have a podcast, Breathe, Love, and Magic. And today I'm doing an exchange or a trade where Melissa Oatman, she's going to talk about herself. And so we're going to use this podcast on both of our platforms. So, Melissa, introduce yourself, please.
Yes, this is so exciting. I love doing this crossover podcast today to have both of our expertise. So I'm Melissa Oatman, host of the podcast Awaken Your Inner Awesomeness, also found on New Reality TV, and an author. I do energy work as well and am a medium and healer. So we are here today to represent both of our podcasts because we wanted to really reach a broader audience today. Because what's our topic today, Ronnie?
Our topic is the power of our words and how vitally important that is. And then we're going to go into something that I've been seeing a lot in the spiritual community that I was talking to you about, and we decided let's address this. So that's where we're going.
Yes. We were having a conversation, and Ronnie and I were kind of on the same page in feeling that there's too much negativity out there right now, and too many of our fellow spirituality gurus, which we respect a lot, I think are scaring people. And so we kind of want to make this an episode where you leave feeling calm and maybe with some tools and some tips to help you just make your day better, get through this tough transition period so that, you're not freaking out.
Right. And we're not making it worse with the power of our words, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, awesome. So I'm just going to get us started and by saying that in a way, words are sort of like spells. They have a lot of power and magic to them. We toss them around all day. We often don't even think about the power and energy they carry, right? We're just talking. You can't think about what you're doing every minute of the day. And the words we use shape our beliefs, they color our perceptions, but even more importantly, they influence what shows up in our lives. And that's really important because it's a spiritual law. It's an energetic fact. It's all about the law of attraction, which people have heard about ad nauseum, I'm sure, but it's valid and it's powerful and it needs to be considered. So even if you don't believe in the universe and it's your higher self listening or it's your subconscious mind, whatever it is, it doesn't matter what your viewpoint on that is. You have to think about things, for example, and these are the common things, and you probably have a few too. Think about casual phrases we often repeat. This is such a pain in the neck. I am sick of this. I've never said any of these things, of course. This is killing me, and I am drowning in work. None of those expressions seem that harmless. Sometimes they're kind of funny, but you're used to hearing them. But over time, they kind of send a powerful message, whether it's to the universe, your higher self, or your subconscious mind. So if you say you're a pain in the neck or this is a pain in the neck, then often your body will answer and mimic because your subconscious mind thinks you want that because you keep repeating that. Our words are like little seeds, right? Where, we may not notice the sprouts right away, but if we keep going, keep using that language, it's growing beneath the surface and shaping our physical, emotional, energetic reality, right? So, what do you think?
Yeah, I could not agree with you more. And I know there are a lot of people, I used to be one of these types of people who would just do self-deprecating humor, thinking like, oh, it's going to be funny if I say like, oh, I'm such a klutz, or I'm such a this or a that, or this always happens to me, like being funny with it, thinking that, actually when you're doing that, it's sort of a trauma response. Like we learn to laugh at ourselves because, oh, if I laugh at myself, nobody else can do it. Or they're laughing with me and not at me. But the problem with that is even when we're thinking we're being humorous, like only that would happen to me, we're still calling that stuff in because as you said, our brains do not know the difference between whether we're joking or we're serious. And so unintentionally, we're setting ourselves up for those things to happen to us.
Right. So, it's not like we're doing these things on purpose. It's
Yeah.
really just the way we talk and the way we have talked and the way we've heard other people speak. And we just aren't thinking about it because we're not 100% conscious every minute of every day that it's very trying. However, it would be good to think about your choices, my choices, our choices, because it does have meaning and it does have power and it can affect you in the same way you would use an affirmation or a mantra to bring good energy and good things into your life. You don't want to bring the things you don't want in because you're focusing on them. So now I was thinking, where am I really going with this? This is where our conversation kind of took off. But something I've noticed in that spiritual community that's being said a lot by a lot of experts, a lot of podcasters, a lot of YouTubers, they're talking about how in the US, all our institutions are crumbling and they need to crumble before they can come back and they need to fall apart. And, because we need new systems. And blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, wait a minute. wait, wait a minute. One of the things I always say is, do you remember back in COVID when there was a toilet paper shortage and how people were ridiculous and freaking out over just toilet paper? Like that was one tiny itsy bitsy thing in our system that was crumbling.
Yeah.
I'm thinking asking for crumbling, using crumbling as a word, talking about crumbling could bring crumbling. And we don't want that. We might need shift or change or improvement or overhaul, but not crumbling. Who says it all has to fall apart first? I'm just not sure that's necessary. I mean, what's your take on that?
So I feel like when some of these spiritual people are saying that, I understand what they're trying to say. They're trying to say that the old has to shift away, shift out before the new can shift in. But the terms that they're using, the terminology, I think that it's having the wrong effect because it's panicking people and it's
Yeah.
scaring people. And it's just like what we were talking about yesterday. You said you picture this Mad Max scenario where we're Hunger Games, right? People keep comparing it to Hunger Games, like, oh, we have to sacrifice people and we have to do this.
Why?
It's not, yeah, it doesn't have to be that way. And I think even though I believe that their intentions are not bad, that
Oh,
there's
I
no
agree.
malice there, I think that the approach is a little misguided because and I understand because some people they channel, so I got this, and so they interpret it and then they give it out there. But I don't know about your guides, but sometimes my guides are not straightforward. Like when I would do healing work with people, they would give me every symptom the person had, and then the person would say, "Oh yeah, I have," and then it would be a disease where all of those symptoms were part of that disease. I'm like, why didn't you just say to me, this person has, and I can't even remember, what it would be, but why can't you lupus? Why couldn't you just say they had lupus?
Right.
It's like, no, we had to give you all the symptoms because we needed you to get there. And it was more evidence for the person that I was working with that, like, this is what's happening. But it's so sometimes you really have to work with spirit and you have to interpret what's being said. And so, in my viewpoint, I think what's happening is some people are interpreting this, and I've even heard them say, "This isn't a bad thing. We have to go through this." Well, okay, but the way that you're presenting this is scary. It's
Yes.
scaring people. And then what's happening is our collective fear is rising.
Yeah.
So we're actually, I think, manifesting a lot of things that aren't, we don't have to go through. And we're torturing ourselves and we're putting ourselves in a mental prison because we're focusing on, as you said, crumbling, which I don't think is the right word. And I may have been guilty of saying it, but what we're meaning is shifting. Like you said, we're shifting realities. And that isn't a bad thing. It's actually a very good thing. And when you say it like that, It's like shifting perspectives, right?
Yes.
When we shift our perspective, we just look at something from a different way. And all this is requiring is us to look at our systems and say, oh, well, these haven't been working. So how can we make them work for us again?
Yes. Now, see, that is an empowering statement. Our systems aren't working right, but what can we do to shift them? Now you're into positive action. You're into curiosity. You're into being open to solutions. Even if you have none, now at least you're open to, well, what could we do? And you can examine the possibilities. And you can also exist in the place where even if you have no idea how it can happen, you're open to you have a positive idea and you're open to the possibilities of positive outcomes. And this is so essential because when you're talking about the crumbling, what's the positive outcome? We're not talking about it. And what when's that going to happen? Like when I think about the crumbling, I think about it taking decades. But that none of that might be necessary because you don't know what good things can happen. Like the pendulum is swinging and we're going a way that some people don't like and it makes them uncomfortable or whatever. But generally, the pendulum will tend to swing back the other way. So don't start creating darkness. And I think that is one of my biggest concerns about the crumbling
Yeah.
because there's nothing hopeful in crumbling. There's nothing positive. And even if we're saying we want to build a whole new system, I'm I'm just like, who says it all has to crumble first? Like, where did that come from? But haven't you noticed how many people have jumped on that bandwagon?
Yeah. And I want to interject and say something because you said
Wait.
something that reminded me of something we were talking about yesterday. Well, first of all, like the fear, that darkness, like they love that. Like it feeds on fear. And so they just want more of it. And you're giving them more of it when you give in to that fear.
Mm,
But second of all, we talked yesterday. Remember, you and I were both like, oh, I'm just in this place where I don't know how I'm going to make this happen. And we got a clear message from the universe when I did a reading for you that
yeah.
said, you don't have to know the how.
Right. In fact, we don't have to
You
know
don't
all
have
the
to know
steps.
the end goal. No,
No.
the universe is going to show the steps one at a time. It's going to illuminate it because if you did see the whole staircase, you would be overwhelmed and you're like, I don't know how we're getting there.
Right.
I don't even know how that's possible.
Right.
And the universe is saying, you don't have to know. You just have to trust and put one foot in front of the other and keep moving forward. It's going to be shown a little at a time. But this, if you just get overwhelmed right away, what do? You shut down. You turn
Yes.
back to that fight, flight, or freeze response, and then nothing happens.
Yes.
We can't do that. We have to live our lives, and the best way you can do that is for you to live a life that's happy and joyful and focus on yourself and those things. That actually does help the collective.
Yes. And in fact, first of all, thank you so much for taking us here. And I have been, the first time Trump was elected, and I don't want to make this political, I'm just giving you a frame of reference for timing. The first time I got together with my girlfriend and we always meditate on different things. We don't often deal with world politics or situations or whatever because we're most interested in our own personal growth and our families or friends. But what we heard at that time was very curious to us because we were both told we both are the same thing. Focus on enjoying your life. Focus on yourself. What can you do? How can you have fun? How can you enjoy yourself? And we're like, really? I'm like, yes, but that was years ago, and we're still getting the same message because when you focus on what makes you happy, which is not putting your head in the sand, it's not being an ostrich, it's raising your vibration. Because when you're happy in your life, and where is it written that we have to be miserable? I think we're here to learn all kinds of things, and that can certainly include happiness and joy and fun and laughter and love and, beautiful things. So when you're in that place of feeling gratitude, of feeling happy, then you can bring in all kinds of new energy. So while it might be hard to feel grateful for some of the stuff that's going on, don't look at that. Look at what you can be grateful for. Like if you're watching this video, you probably have a roof over your head and have enough to eat and have a source of income. And maybe you don't like everyone in your family, but you probably like some of the people in your family. And you probably have a couple of good friends. And maybe you cooked a good dinner last night or whatever it is. And so one of the things I've been working on really is gratitude in a big way to expand my energy. But I'm not looking at the big things and feeling like, well, that's not good or that's not good, because that's not where the gratitude is. It's in the little things. There's no humidity today, and I'm so happy about that. Or the sun is shining on my face, or my flowers look so beautiful. How lucky am I that my flowers are this gorgeous? Those are the small things that can make you happy and are very worthwhile. And I think we've forgotten how to just enjoy what is good. Focus so much on what's not working or what makes us unhappy. And like you said, the news cycle is all about eyeballs. So they will, on either side of the fence, they're going to make it sensational and crazy because you're going to watch more that way.
Well,
And
and we were
so,
talking about that. Oh, I didn't mean to cut you off, but
no,
we were
no,
talking
go
about
ahead.
this yesterday. Um, we were talking about, you told me you need to sing a song to manifest, or do you do this? And I was like, you know what, I used to, but I noticed that I'd stopped. And so after we hung up yesterday, I went around my house and I started singing, like, what I used to sing was "Life's About to Get Good." And I used to sing that around
Ooh,
there. And yesterday, I mm, I got to spend time with both my kids. My son came over and we went to dinner, and my daughter was texting me, and I thought about it. I was like, this really is, life is good, because this was so great to be able to have that time with them, and I really enjoyed it. And my son just like talk, 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 and that's such a great feeling to feel love. And that's, I think, a big part of what we're here for. And then that is what I wanted to bring. Another point was, when people say, like, I can't do anything, there's nothing I can do, and you feel helpless. Part of why many of us came here are just to anchor in light in this time of darkness,
oh,
and to be the light and to hold the light. And how do we do that? We do that by being light, by working on our own vibration, by showing love to ourselves and to others, because that is what's driving out this darkness. When we say that
yes,
shifting, that's what we mean. We mean we're shifting away from that,
yes.
because you're waking up and realizing, like, hey, I can control myself. I'm here to anchor in the light and to be the light for others. And if more and more and more people do that, you can't help but drive out the darkness, right? It's like those blinds, those room darkening blinds. If you rip those open and then you turn on lights and then you light up all these candles and you do all these things, well, the darkness it leaves, right? It
Right,
cannot
right.
stay.
It gets blown out. This is so exciting. I have goosebumps. So years ago, it could have been, I don't know, it could have been 2014 or 2015. I'm not sure. I've tried to find this, but anyway, Cryon, who Lee Carroll is the channel for Cryon. I don't know if you've heard of it, but anyway, back then he said, and this thrilled me to no end. He said, we only need 25% light to balance any darkness. And we're at 26. And that was at least 10 years ago. Now, think of the amazing awakenings that transpired because of COVID. And how many people woke up and started doing Reiki and channeling and using their intuition, working on their past lives, doing shadow work, and all kinds of things to bring in the light, to heighten their awareness, to have them open up to new possibilities they'd never considered, and the whole spiritual aspect of how to move through life in a different way, looking at things from that energetic or spiritual perspective. We're way beyond 26%, and we only needed 25. So that's why I did a whole podcast once on light versus dark, who's winning. And I did a lot of research for that. And light is definitely winning. Not if you watch TV news all the time or listen to it or read it on the web or whatever, because it's designed to not show the happiness. But that doesn't change the fact that there are a lot of good things happening. Like one of them is there's some scientist who is working on how to help the coral reefs, because there's a lot of coral reef damage and they're dying, and they can't figure it all out. But someone came up with, I heard two different things. One was they're making 3D printing coral, and it's not real, but it has a vibration or something, or lights, or they're playing music that the ocean life is responding to, and it's waking up the coral, it's reformulating or whatever. And another option was just planting poles with sound in a dead coral area, and that was bringing back a lot of coral life or whatever. So there are so many things. How do you hear about that kind of news? You never hear the good stuff. We only hear how the, environment is dying and, but there are still good things. There was something that was developed that actually eats some of the plastic in the ocean, and they've some kind of microbe or something. I mean, there's so many things that we do not hear about that are good, that are creating shifts. So like you say, when we spend time anchoring the light and really being who we are, showing our light, sharing it with people, because when you're happy, when you're feeling gratitude, when you raise your vibration, you're not in some cocoon. You're vibrating that out to your family or the people you live with or the people you walk past, the people in the elevator, the people you sit near when you're at a restaurant or at your workplace. We become like that pebble you drop in the pond,
Yes.
rippling out everywhere, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to add to you because, you know, on social media, I follow some people where sometimes it's like breaking news, and that could drive you crazy. And sometimes you have to take a break from that. But there's also a girl on there who's, and again, we don't get political, but she's like the government's L's for the week and talks about how they're losing. When you listen to her, you go, you know what? They're not winning at trying to do all these horrible things. They're losing, but that's not what makes the news because
Right, right.
that doesn't
Absolutely.
even sell anything.
Right.
If you shift what you're listening to and you really listen to what's actually going on, a lot of what's out there is super sensationalized to cause you to panic and to cause this fear-based thing
Yeah.
going on. And when you really settle down, you look back and go, okay, they didn't get away with that, or they're not doing that, or they couldn't do that. It looks worse than it is in a lot of ways. And I'm not downplaying it. I know
No,
there are
no.
bad things happening.
Yeah.
But what I'm trying to say is if you feed into that, you are going to go down that rabbit hole of negative fear-based thinking, and they're feeding off of that. But when we don't give them our light, right? We do not
Yes.
give them light. And when we build our light and we just hold that space that more people are waking up, more people are stepping up, that we're doing our part where we can, and we're just living our lives and being happy. I mean, that is seriously, in a lot of ways, the best thing that you can do because your vibration is feeding the vibration of the collective.
Yes.
And how do you think people are waking up? Because that vibration is waking people up, that the light, right? They're seeing it like, oh, life doesn't have to be like that. I can be happy. I can have a good life. I
Yes.
think that.
Yeah. Such a good point. So I guess when we talk about the power of our words, what we really want to think about, just in the things that you're repeating all the time. You can't think about every word that's, nonsense. But you can think about the things, catch yourself repeating things and go, is that the energy I want to put out there? That's all we're really talking about is a little bit more consciousness about word choice and maybe not talk about the crumbling so much because we don't want to add, we don't want to feed the darkness machine. We want to break it up with more light. So talk about what makes you happy. Invest your energy in what makes you happy. Do nice things for other people. Offer blessings to the world or to people you walk by. I don't know if you've done any blessing work, but it's not a religious thing. It's just sending positive energy to other people. So I have done this and it is just the most amazing thing to send blessings. And even if you don't want to send it to people on the street or strangers, you can send blessings to your loved ones who aren't near you or to your friends who might not be near, or you can just bless each other in person. And it really makes a difference. Years ago, when I first took my Reiki 1 training, I was practicing on a friend. And after I finished the session, I don't know, this just came into my head. So it probably was my guides, telling me, but I wasn't conscious of that at the time. I just had this idea. And so what I did was I was standing at her head. She was laying on her back. And I just kind of went like this. And I sent purple sparkles across her entire body. Now, that sounds like fairy dust or whatever, and I didn't really think anything of it. It was just something I did. And do you know, as soon as I was done, she goes, what did you just do? I'm like, what do you mean? Do you feel okay? She goes, oh my gosh, it was amazing. I'm like, uh, purple sparkles. So to me, that was one of those nonsensical magic things that you just do, childlike, fairyish, whatever. And it had power. And so you could send purple sparkles or pick your own color, whatever color you want. I don't think it matters. Um, to whoever you want. You can do this and put them on yourself. It will change your energy because it's about intention more than anything.
And you said something I want to bring back up. You said it in the beginning, and I loved what you said because you were talking about how it's powerless if we get into that negative thinking and we say it's crumbling. But saying that we're shifting and we're shifting the collective, that feels so powerful, right?
Yes. Yes.
One of the messages, because I do collective readings on TikTok and YouTube each week, and one of the messages that came out in 2 different readings that I did was, it's time for you to stand in your power. And I've heard that, and
Mm.
we talked about that. We were both saying, we have to take back our power. You were telling me, like, oh, the universe is telling you, you need to have boundaries and you need to work on that. And then I did a reading for you, and it was like, you kind of got the same message. So the universe is saying right now to everyone out there listening, it's time to stand on your power. And when people say, I don't know what that means is you said somebody channeled the queen. I don't know if we had
Yes,
that conversation. Yeah.
Allison Stillman, and that's what my podcast was about last week is recognizing that we are all queens. That's what she said. Queen Elizabeth, who had just passed, came and told her. She said, I am the last queen. And now all of you need to put on your own crown and recognize that you are a queen and come from that place of confidence and power and self-care, taking care of yourself instead of depleting yourself, helping everyone else. That's where the empowerment comes from is when you love yourself, she didn't say all this, but this is how we've taken it. You love yourself, you take care of yourself, and you make sure you're not depleted because if you can fill yourself with positive vibes, you can do so much more work and help in the world. You can't help everyone if you're empty, if you're depleted, if you're sad, and if you're giving more than you're receiving. You need balance. And so when you come to that queenly energy, it has nothing to do with ruling over anyone else. It has to do with being sovereign over yourself. And when you are, you can fill with energy, you can feel empowered, and then you can share in a much bigger way and help in a much bigger way. And as you were saying that, I was getting all excited and feeling the chills again because I think that's what the message really is. Like, we didn't know that when we started this conversation, but
Yep.
that's really the message.
I got chills too, and I felt on my head like there was something sitting here like a crown.
Cool. Oh, how cool. Oh my God. Well, Melissa, is there anything else you want to say before we wrap up?
Well, I thought if you don't care that I would pull a card for the collective and just
Sure.
I think these affirmation cards, and they were gifted.
Wait, before you do that, let's just say if you want to know more about me, you can find me on intuitiveedge.biz. And if you want to know more about Melissa, you can
You can
find her
find
on
me, yeah, melissaoatman.com. It's just my first and last name.com. Pretty easy.
perfect. All right, now go ahead and do your 12 card pulls.
Let's see what the universe has for us. You ready for this?
I am.
Positivity.
Stop it.
It- I speak and think positively. I'm not joking. I just shuffled and that flew out.
Woo!
I did not pre-pick this card. I did not. It says staying positive does not mean that things will be perfect. Rather, it is knowing that it will be okay no matter how things turn out. Your current thinking shapes the future. We talked about this yesterday too, trust, having trust in the universe. And that's that you don't have to know all of the answers, you just have to trust. Embrace the habit of speaking words that manifest what you want to become true for you.
You can't get more perfect.
I know.
And so that's a perfect example of where our energy is at. And when you went to pick that card, that just came to you because your vibration is high as a result of this conversation and all the wonderful positive things we talked about and pointed out. And so, more than anything, my hope is that for anybody who watched this, you'll think about what can I do today to feel grateful, to feel positive, to feel happy, and what do I want to shift in my use of words and my thinking because we are having big changes and they're going to be good for us. And focus on the positive outcome because in the end, we're working on shifting the earth to a more positive and powerful place rather than abdication of power or anything like that. So ultimately, the shift is beautiful. We just haven't gotten there yet all the way, but we're making progress.
We are. And I want to say something too, because sometimes we get stuck in patterns of negative thinking and it's hard for us to get ourselves out. Sometimes our energy kind of gets stuck and feels. So I want to recommend if there's anybody out there who's listening to this and maybe you do want to get on that right track, but you're like, I don't know where to start. So Ronnie did a healing session for me yesterday and it was amazing. I felt
Oh,
so
thank you.
much better after your session. And I do healing sessions with people too. You don't have to do it alone.
Yeah.
Sometimes just getting a healing session with someone cuz as a healer, I need healing sometimes too. Sometimes getting a healing session with someone just kind of sparks that shift in your own
Yes.
energy. So
Yes.
I would encourage people too to check out your website, to check out my website and see, if you need, because sometimes we don't see our own
Limitations.
issues that we have going on. And you did. You're like, why do you feel this? Why are you experiencing that? I'm like, oh yeah, yeah, that totally makes sense. I wouldn't have been able to dig in that for myself because I'm just too close to who I
Yes.
am. And
Yes.
I for other people too, they come to me, they're like, I'm stuck, I don't know what's going on. And I do a reading for them or I do Reiki for them. And it's like, oh, that helped so much.
Oh,
So
yeah.
you're not alone. I love everything that we've talked about, and there's so many things you can do and you can start and you can do by yourself, but you're not alone. And if you need help, there's no shame in reaching out and saying, "Hey, I'd really like to book a healing session because I do want to feel better. I do want to clear my energy and I do want to raise my vibration." And we can help you do all of those things.
Absolutely. I love that. We're not alone. We really have a big community when you look at it like that, of thinking about the people who are working with light and are shifting their awareness. Melissa, this has been such a pleasure. I am so thrilled with, because we didn't really know where we were going to go, but I love where we ended up. Anyone who's watching is female, or whether you're not, get your crown. Take care of yourself, be your own sovereign, and share your love and light with the world.
Yes. And leave us podcast episode a positive review if you liked it and if it helped you, because that's going to allow more people to see us,
Yes,
to hear this message and to raise the vibration. And we're going to get to that amazing and beautiful and wonderful shift faster that way. So
I love it. Good idea. Thank you so much, Melissa.
thank you so much.